on the telephone right now. He's the chairman of the County Board of Legislators here in Westchester. Please welcome Ken Jenkins. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Bob, and good morning, Westchester.
It's nice to have you with us. Now, your battles, and when I say yours, the legislature's battle with the with the county executive continues, and still we haven't gotten to the bottom of this issue with daycare. Where are we now?
Well, it's in court right now, and there'll be some decisions soon on that particular matter. We have at least two separate actions. One is to ask the judge's motion to be vacated in its entirety because of some technical reasons, and then we also have our appeal, which we have given notice of, but we do not have to file it yet until after there's an actual increase notification that actually happened. Right now, it's not ripe, is what the attorneys tell me as far as the term is concerned. But our motion to vacate is in front of the judge right now, and we are expecting to hear back from the judge shortly. If that happens, it will go back to the order that was in place, which would be a restraining order on making any modifications to child care subsidies, would be back in place, and then we'll go forward back to the judge and present arguments on what things should happen. I mean, we're at the end of the year now. It's kind of silly that we're talking about having an increase in child care subsidies in November 1st when our fiscal year ends in December. We should just run the clock out and make the adjustments that are necessary, just like we would do with the $30 million of shortfall that the county executive has caused for himself.
Okay, now what is the issue as the legislature sees it with the budget? Now, do we have a surplus? Are we running under as has now been proclaimed?
We have a surplus we have $135 million in unrestricted funds that's in our bank account if people like to look at the way they look at their budget at home.
Now, is that, as New Rochelle, we say, you're supposed to keep like 10% of your budget in reserve, 5 to 10%. Is that a reserve fund, a general fund, or is that money targeted for things that was not spent?
No. That's our unrestricted reserve. We have a lot more money in that are in restricted reserve accounts.
I see.
That we cannot touch.
Right.
We have $135 million in unrestricted fund balance that we have either said, hey, we'd like to spend it on this kind of thing, but it's not a law that says we have to hold that money specifically for an activity like retirement funds or for compensation or lawyers' fees, et cetera. We have money that is set aside for that. The reality from our budgeting perspective is that the administration misled the board when it did not present the department's request, and that's what caused this year's shortfall. The law, it's not something that, it's nice to have and, the board just wants it because it had nothing else to do. It's the law. The budget department gives the county board, when the county executive presents his budget, all of the information so that we can make a decision based on his recommendation. So he recommends something based on what the department's asked for, and then the board makes the final decision. And that's what the crux of this issue is that in our discussions on child care, we came up to a negotiated number, which was 5% higher than it was the previous year, to a 20% parent share. We put enough money in the budget based on what the department and the budget director told us, and that's what we said, let's move forward with. The county executive said, I don't agree with that, and that's fine. And the Board of Legislators said, thanks for that information. This is what we want to do, and that's called an override. So we reconsidered our vote because the county executive said, hey, you guys may want to think this over. And we did, and we said, no, we really want to do it this way. That's how things should operate, and there shouldn't be any holdback from that particular activity. If there's a change that has to be made, the county executive during the year comes back and says, or the department comes back and says, hey, we got to make a change because of X, Y, and Z. And the board considers that and says, okay, that's good to do. Or no, we still want to do this. This is where our priorities are.
742, we are talking with the chairman of the County Board of Legislators, in effect the Speaker of the House of our County Board of Legislators, Ken Jenkins, here on 1460 WVOX. A question that can only be asked bluntly, Mr. Chairman, is this. Has the relationship between the legislature and the county executive, the administration, become as toxic, let's say, as it has on the national level?
No, it doesn't, because what happens is we still have great respect for each other and each other's roles. There's a disagreement on how things should get executed. The county executive kind of thinks that it's a monarchy, and he dictates this is how it should happen, and then the board should follow along, and that's just not how the law works. And that's not how our democracy works, and that's kind of where the discrepancy is. It's certainly good to have open debate about ideas, and people should have a healthy discussion on those. They should be discussed in the open. They should not just been laid out in front of the board and said this is how it should happen. I'll give you a good example. It's that local development corporation. In January, the county executive announced the formation of this local development corporation, and in fact announced loans that were going to be made by this local development corporation. And then they said, oh, well, by the way, the county board has to approve retroactively the creation of this organization, which we just weren't going to do.
I see that. Any announcements you want to make before we move on?
You know what, Bob, I think that people should be looking forward this year. We're going to have an interesting budget cycle, and it's going to be a concern on how people should move forward. So let's keep working together and looking forward for doing the best we can for the people of Westchester.
Well, thank you. And just something I want to mention while I have you on the phone and to the audience. Every once in a while I'll have you on and I'll get a phone call. What about the other side of the story? I have regularly, particularly last month, I invited through his office the county executive to come on several times, and they have not yet responded. So it's not for lack of trying. So I just thought it was necessary to say that. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, Bob, and that's actually one of the things. The county executives should have that conversation, and we're happy to do that around an open table and discuss issues, and that's how things should go. Not a problem.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
Bob.
Chairman. Have a good day.
You too, Bob.
Thank you so much. That's the chairman of the County Board of Legislators, Ken Jenkins, here on 1460 WVOX and worldwide on WVOX.com.